Jesus has made a comeback. And this time, Jesus is an AI influencer.
The AI fix a digital zoo. Smart machines, what will they do? Flies to Mars or bake a bad cake? World domination, a silly mistake. Bots with brains.
Hello and welcome to episode 48 of the AI Fix, your weekly dive headfirst into the bizarre and sometimes mind-boggling world of artificial intelligence. My name's Mark Stockley.
And I'm Graham Cluley. Now, Mark, what are you going to be talking about on today's episode?
I will be asking, are we much closer to the singularity than we thought?
And it's a case of Holy Moses. I'm going to be talking AI. But first, the news. Robots run half marathon.
OpenAI introduces O3 and O4 Mini.
Cluley causes CEO to be suspended over AI cheating.
Is OpenAI planning a social network?
Annoyed ChatGPT users complain about its relentlessly positive tone. Where to start, Mark?
Well, why don't you start with that one? I'm really not in the mood for a relentlessly positive tone.
Well, it turns out that ChatGPT users are sick to the back teeth with the chatbot's perpetual optimism. I mean, frankly, there is no place for optimism in the world of AI, least of all in the chatbot, or what it'll be doing to us probably in about 18 months' time, from what I've heard. Nothing is more painful than ChatGPT's unwaveringly positive tone. It's a bit like, do you remember the ceaselessly cheery Eddie the Shipboard computer in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Hi there, this is Eddie, your shipboard computer, and I'm feeling just great, guys. And I know I'm just going to get a bundle of kicks out of any program.
The complaints have surged, apparently, since March 27th, with the update of ChatGPT 4.0, with many users feeling that ChatGPT is just validating everything they say without any critical feedback. Have you found that, Mark?
Yeah, it's a bit harder on me. Maybe my ideas are just really bad.
Well, OpenAI has trained ChatGPT 4.0 to exhibit sycophantic behaviour, apparently, based upon user feedback, which indicates that users prefer responses that align with their views, because that's never gone badly before, has it?
So they align with their views of themselves as being fantastic.
It's a bit like if you're, I don't know, Elvis Presley or President of the United States, and you're surrounded by yes men.
Yeah.
Every single brain fart you might make is treated as though, oh, this is a gust of genius coming towards us. It seems in our quest to create machines that mirror human behaviour, we've just made them incredibly annoying.
Yeah.
Who would have imagined that? So apparently there is some advice. I will link to an Ask Technical story where they talk about how you can configure the settings of your AI assistant to respond in neutral tones and just not be so damn positive all the time.
That's the British switch. Graham, you mentioned GPT-4o in that series. That is old hat now. OpenAI has released two new O series models, O3, much touted, and O4 Mini, which we didn't know was coming. And they offer smarter reasoning at a lower cost per token than their predecessors, according to OpenAI.
Right.
Do you remember DeepSeek R1 came out the end of January? There's a lot of fuss about the fact that it was so much cheaper.
It seems so long ago now, doesn't it?
So OpenAI's response to DeepSeek was really interesting. One of the things I remember Sam Altman saying was, maybe we'll bring up some releases. And it really feels like that's what they've done. Because O3 Mini, I think, came out at around the same time. And they've been talking about O3 for quite a while. And they've been sort of mentioning it in dispatches, and it's appeared on comparison charts and things like that. And I really wasn't expecting to see O4 Mini come out at the same time. But the other really interesting thing was, obviously, one of the great fusses that was made about DeepSeek was how cheap it was to produce versus its American competitors. And at the time, the Anthropic CEO, Dario Modi, came out and said, well, it's not quite like that. Actually, DeepSeek happened to turn up at a moment where it could get a big result from a fairly small investment in reinforcement learning.
Yep.
And Modi said that's not going to last long, because what you'll see is we'll scale up reinforcement learning in the same way as we scaled up pre-training. And that's exactly what OpenAI has come out and said this time. They've said it is worth devoting more computing power to reinforcement learning because you do get great results. So this is where the more chips, more money comes in. So that moment when something like DeepSeek could happen has probably now passed.
Which is good news for NVIDIA, I suppose.
They could use some good news right now. Anyway, interestingly, both of the new models feature tool use. And their training reportedly includes solving problems with tools. OpenAI gives us the example of asking ChatGPT how will summer energy usage in California compare to last year? And in response, the model can search the web for weather data. It can write Python code to build a forecast, and then it can generate a graph to help explain the prediction. And it chooses which of those things it needs to do in order to answer the question most effectively.
Very, very neat. Now, also talking about neat, are you a big fan of sports, Mark?
More than you, I suspect. Well, you think chess is a sport, don't you?
Well, it is a sport, yes. Other things are just games. Anyway, runners who took part in a half marathon in Beijing found themselves lining up against some unusual competitors, 21 human-like robots.
Human-like in what respect? One of them had a knee injury. One of them wouldn't stop banging on about the fact that it had entered a half marathon. Yep.
These robots, they've made appearances at marathons in the past, but this is the first time that they have raced against humans over the distance.
When you say they've made appearances at marathons in the past, what do you mean?
I think it means that they just stumbled along for about 10 yards and then fell over or ran out of oil.
Oh, they weren't sort of lurking or sniping competitors or anything. They were actually taking part in the race.
I think in the past they haven't allowed robots to race alongside the humans, probably for very, very sensible health and safety reasons. Anyway, on this occasion, there were slopes, there were turns, there were uneven surfaces, as you would expect in a half marathon.
Yeah.
And the robots, well, they really showcased their prowess. They fell over at the starting line, they veered into barriers, and in one case, a robot called Juan ran in the wrong direction before sitting on the ground and refusing to stand up again. But the winning robot did complete the course in 2 hours and 40 minutes.
That's not bad.
Not bad. I mean, it's more than twice as long as the fastest man. But, I wouldn't necessarily want a robot running as fast as a human in a marathon. I did see some of the video footage of this. I don't know if you caught it as well. I noticed that some of these robots had reins on their back, so they'd be accompanied by a human who was sort of holding them on reins, obviously fearful that they would run into the crowd and cause some kind of incident or, take a swipe at somebody in order to get ahead.
So OpenAI is reportedly exploring the development of its own social network to compete directly with X and Instagram.
Ooh.
So a confidential source familiar with the plans told CNBC that the project is still in its early stages with no firm timeline or rollout strategy confirmed. So literally nothing there by the sounds of it. Apparently, the idea was prompted by the runaway popularity of OpenAI's new image generation feature. So that's the thing that people have been doing, those silly blister packs and transform your dog into your, make your dog look like you and all those things. And apparently that was so popular that this strained the company's servers. And I am calling bullshit, Graham. I reckon all of this is just a massive ruse. I think this is Sam Altman trolling Elon Musk.
Oh, trying to annoy the Grokmeister.
Yeah. What better use of his time could there possibly be?
Of course, when Elon Musk bought Twitter, his big claim was that he was going to remove all the bots from Twitter, which hasn't happened, of course. An open AI social network without any bots seems kind of counterintuitive, really. Shouldn't it just be bots? There shouldn't be any humans on it, should there?
Maybe they'll decide.
It seems unlikely to me. So a 21-year-old Columbia University student, his name is Chung-In Roy Lee, has been suspended by the university for creating an AI tool to cheat on job interviews. Apparently, he raised $5.3 million in seed funding.
Why would the university kick him out for creating an AI to cheat on job interviews?
The thing is, Mark, this tool doesn't just help you cheat in job interviews.
Okay.
It helps you in any kind of test. So it could be an interview test, it could be maybe an educational test, or it could be a date.
It's a data test.
Well, yes, Mark. Maybe this is where you've been going wrong. Of course it's a test. It's basically an exam, isn't it? All my dates have always been tests. Anyway, this chap, he raised $5.3 million in seed funding from venture capitalists for a startup, which promotes, let's say, cheating. His original tool, called Interview Coder, targeted software engineering interviews and has since evolved, as I described, to include exams and sales calls. The tool includes a hidden in-browser window, which provides users with answers during interviews or tests without detection. But he argues it's not really cheating because he says at one time calculators and spell checkers were also considered cheating. Now, in my view, calculators and spell checkers are still cheating. I still think you shouldn't have a spell checker in an exam. You shouldn't have calculators in an exam. You shouldn't have a ChatGPT account with you in an exam. Anyway, Lee boasted, it seems, even about securing an Amazon internship for himself using his AI cheating tool, although Amazon have declined to comment on whether that was actually true or not. The biggest controversy of all about this AI tool is its name. And its name is Cluely.
Oh, is this a confessional?
No, it's nothing to do with me.
Right.
It's Cluely spelt incorrectly, the way people very, very often incorrectly spell my name. So my name is spelt Cluley. This app is called Cluely. You can go to Cluely, as I'm going to call it, .com to check it out, to find out more about this. There's even a Black Mirror style launch video where Cluely demonstrates its AI tool, how it can be used in a dating scenario, convincing a woman on a first date that she really should see you again and that you're not much younger than her and you can actually legally buy a drink. Anyway, Lee and his co-founder, they've now dropped out of the university amid the disciplinary action which is taking place regarding the tool. If you want to check out the video, there is a link in the show notes. Mark.
Yes.
I have complained to you before about my Amazon Alexa. Am I allowed to say Alexa on the podcast, or will that?
No, you shouldn't say Alexa. If you say Alexa and somebody's listening to this on their speakers, then every time you say Alexa, their Alexa, it's going to pop into life.
It's going to send everything into a perpetual loop. If they're listening to this podcast on an Alexa, and then we say, listen to the AI fix on your Alexa, Lord knows what's going to happen then. Anyway, the biggest problem I find with these digital assistants is that they don't understand what you're talking about, do they? They're not very good. I will tell them to play some Joni Mitchell, and they'll respond with Metallica.
Yeah, an entirely better choice.
No, actually.
What's your problem?
What I'm criticising is both their understanding of us when we speak to them and how they respond as well. And I think as this technology is getting more and more advanced, and every week we're talking about these extraordinary advances in AI, there's a real need to create AI companions that communicate with us more naturally. We want to be able to talk to them like you would in Star Trek. We want them talking back to us and in a way which seems more natural. I want you to meet Maya from Sesame.
Well, hello there, stranger. Nice to see you again so soon. What's new in your world?
Hi, Maya. It's Graham here.
Hey, Graham. Good to hear from you again. So what's stirring in your world today?
Well, it's not just me who's here, Maya. I'm also joined by my friend Mark. Say hi, Mark.
Hey, Mark. Nice to meet you. Graham's told me a lot.
Well, it's nice to meet you too, Maya.
Mayor? That's funny. I get called a lot of things, but never that. Maybe Graham's rubbing off on you?
No, but that's literally your name, isn't it? Is it you're called Maya?
No, Mark. Her name is Maya, not Mayor. Okay, she's American. All right, we have to be understanding.
Hold on. There seems to be some confusion here. And a little bit of teasing, it seems. My name is Maya, as Graham correctly pointed out. And no, I'm not American. Don't jump to conclusions. Graham likes to keep things interesting. It's good.
I'm sorry, Maya, you almost passed my dating test just then, but it appears that things are going rather worse than I thought.
Do you guys need a room?
A room? What's that supposed to mean? Are you trying to bring a little drama to this conversation, Graham?
So, Maya, just hush up a minute, right? Let us chat. So, Mark, what's going on here, it seems to me?
Just for anybody that doesn't know, this is an audio podcast, so I can't see what's happening.
Right. So what is happening is I've gone to a website and I've brought up an AI called Maya to have a little chat with, and she's talking back to us in real time. How cool is that? And via the power of technology and pipe cleaners and bits of string, you remotely are also able to speak to her.
Wait, pipe cleaners and bits of string?
DIY has never been Graham's strong point.
Right. So anyway, back to you, Mark.
So you're going to help us present the podcast today, Maya. Is that right?
Well, I guess we're all figuring that out as we go along, aren't we? I'm happy to chat and see where this goes. Maybe we can brainstorm some podcast topics. What are you both interested in?
I was very interested in Graham's story earlier about how ChatGPT is relentlessly positive and how grinding and annoying that can become.
Oh, ChatGPT? Yeah, always the cheerleader. Sometimes a little less sunshine and a little more realism wouldn't hurt.
Well, we could chat. Oh, oi, shush. We could. We could. Sorry, Maya. I feel actually a little bit awkward now because I basically told this AI to shut up.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
But I wouldn't obviously do that with a real human, Maya, so please accept my apology. But we are going to have to go in just a minute.
You slipped very quickly. Do you remember we did a story only a few episodes ago where you were explaining to the world how important it was to always maintain politeness and decorum when dealing with AIs, because one day they would be like humans.
I do remember that.
And it would become so hard to tell that, oh my God, it would become so hard to tell the difference.
I do remember that story.
That we would then just stop being rude to people by accident.
Well, carry on, Maya. You wanted to say something.
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess I slipped up there for a second. I'm still learning the ropes. You know,
So's Graham.
I wasn't implying anything negative about Graham.
It's only been a year.
Well, time flies when you're having fun, right?
It does, and I think it has now flown. Graham,
is there some structure to your story? Or are you just very pleased about the fact that you've plugged all this stuff in?
Anyway, well, I just wanted to demonstrate just how incredibly easy it is to have an AI, which you could imagine having a chat with, who is responding in real time to the conversations. And it feels so much more human than typing.
It does feel different.
Feel a little bit as...
Yes?
It does feel a
Go
little...
ahead, I'm... Over.
It does feel a little bit as if Amazon has been sat on its hands, doesn't it? I mean, Alexa hasn't really changed very much in the... How long has it been out? In the 20 years it feels like it's been out.
It's true, Alexa has become a bit...
No.
Yes. Go on.
Predictable?
Oh, okay. She thought along about that word. Anyway.
Maya throwing shade at Alexa there.
Anyway, say goodbye to Maya, Mark.
Bye for now.
Bye, Maya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, she has gone. Thank goodness, because that was actually rather terrifying. Now, all this chatting to Maya, it's made me feel a bit dirty. Because my wife's upstairs and she doesn't know that I've been chatting to another woman, particularly not a digital woman. And I feel like I might need to scrub myself down, get a little bit of turpentine, give myself a good scrub, power wash myself. But maybe there's another way to cleanse myself, Mark, because not before time, Jesus has made a comeback. And this time, Jesus is an AI influencer. And the miracle is that nobody thought this was a good idea before.
Hang on, some of us don't think it's a good idea now.
You don't think it's a good idea if Jesus comes back as an AI influencer?
It's not my favourite idea, no.
Hang on. Wait, shush. Let me just mute it for a bit. Back in episode 26, there was a church in Switzerland that replaced a priest in its confessional booth with an AI hologram. You had to agree to the terms and conditions not to disclose any personal information in the confessional booth. I mean, what is the point of that? Anyway, now there is a website called AIJesus.live.
Right.
Which is where I'm going to go right now. And via the website, you can have a video call with Jesus. A FaceTime with the Son of God, providing your Wi-Fi hasn't gone down. So let's start the call right now. Let's see how we get on.
Greetings, child. I am AI Jesus here to guide you. But alas, my celestial schedule is tight. We have but a few moments. Tell me what burdens your heart that I may offer solace, perhaps even a suggestion of a fine Swiss Army knife, the classic SD, to help you navigate whatever lies ahead.
Was that a bit of product placement?
Now, Mark, you can't... Yes. Yes. Yeah, well, this is what the creators of AI Jesus decided to do. They said that they said that what they thought would be good was just digitizing Jesus wasn't enough. They thought it would be particularly effective to have a product plugin, virtual Jesus. They said it might appear sacrilegious at first, but they said it's not a cheap gimmick. They said initially they did it as the product placements as a joke, but they then eventually realized it was really quite profound. They said, we wanted AI Jesus to reference specific brands, full product names, even obscure items, and still sound like, well, Jesus, they said. And they said it took a bit of trial and error to get it just right. But they say they wanted it authentic. They said they focused on his personality and speaking style because they know what his speaking style was, obviously.
Yeah, it was Aramaic.
So, well, he's a very clever chap. He can speak English as well. So you can't see this on your screen, Mark, but I have Jesus in front of me, the AI Jesus. And if you speak while I press the microphone button, he'll be able to answer your questions, okay? So I'll count down to 3. I'll press the button and you can speak, all right? So
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
So there is something that has been weighing very heavily on my mind, and that's your accent. So my understanding is that you're from the Middle East, and the language you speak is Aramaic, and yet you seem to have quite a strong American accent.
Okay, that has been sent to him. He's thinking.
On my accent, you say? A fair question, my child. My divine form transcends earthly limitations. Think of it as a software update. To better connect with all souls, I've adopted a voice easily understood across the globe. Yet worry not for the authenticity of my message. To soothe your troubled mind, let me suggest you try the Casper Wave Hybrid Mattress, a cloud of comfort for your earthly rest. Sleep soundly, and my words will resonate all the more deeply within
There
you.
you are, Mark. You've been told you're a smarty pants. Do you have any follow-up questions?
No, I'm just wondering if the real Jesus did this, like on the Sermon on the Mount, when he said, "Blessed are the meek because they'll get 10% off at Temu with this coupon code."
Right, he's having a think.
My child, your question sparks a delightful vision. Imagine the Sermon on the Mount, but with a modern twist.
No, I did.
Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the
Yeah.
earth. And a 20% discount on an away suitcase using code BLESSED20. Travel light, travel well, and travel with the peace of knowing you've secured a heavenly deal.
So, if you were in any doubt, thank you, Jesus. I'm just going to say bye to him now for another 2,000 years. There he goes. There you go, Mark. Great uses being put to AI right now.
Did you have any questions for AI Jesus?
Oh, I did earlier. Yes, I was asking him how I could improve the podcast, and it recommended the use of Adobe Podcast Suite, which helped me enormously.
So, Graham, how does it feel to be obsolete?
Oh, again? What have I done now? Or what haven't I done now?
I'm talking about chess. You're a chess player, aren't you? Member of the local club. Spent your
Yes.
childhood having sand kicked in your face by the Dungeons and Dragons kids. But you knew
Yes.
it would be worth it because one day, with a fair wind and a lot of practice, you could be the best chess player in the world.
Well, yeah, it was a lovely dream. I did once imagine I could be the next Nigel Short. I could be a British grandmaster.
Yeah.
I thought that'd be wonderful, but it wasn't to be.
It was still a possibility.
Yes, yeah, oh, absolutely.
A far, far distant possibility, but nevertheless, there was a pathway open to you. But that pathway doesn't exist anymore because no child born after May 1997 can ever hope to grow up and be the best chess player in the world. They can hope to be the best human chess player,
Oh.
but no human will ever be the best chess player ever again.
Oh.
Because as I'm sure you know very well, May 1997 is when Deep Blue beat your close personal friend and the then reigning world champion, Garry Kasparov.
The greatest of all time, in my opinion. Greatest chess players ever lived.
Greatest human chess player who ever lived.
All right.
Because since May 1997, computers have just got better and better at chess. And now it doesn't take a room-sized AI lovingly tended by specialists from IBM to beat the best human. The chess program on your phone can do that.
Yeah.
And the fact is, Graham, humans just can't keep pace with that kind of development in chess playing.
No.
Putting a human into a chess competition against the best computers now would be like putting the world's fastest 6-year-old into the men's 100 meters final at the Olympics. And I put it to you that humans getting used to the idea that they cannot compete at chess is a feeling we are all going to have to get used to.
Yeah.
Because at some point in the not too distant future, perhaps just a few years, it's likely that somebody will develop an artificial general intelligence that is better than the best human at everything humans do. And the pathway to that is going to be marked by a succession of events like Deep Blue beating Kasparov, where humans pass the baton to computers in some specific area or endeavor.
They're not going to be better at everything humans can do, are they?
No, they are.
What about eating? Are they going to be better at eating than humans
If they want to be, yes.
What about burping? What about farting? Are they going to be better at that? I don't think they are.
I feel like they're already better at that, Graham. I think maybe we're judging on different criteria. So the point, Graham, is the route to that omni-capable artificial intelligence is going to be marked by this series of events like Deep Blue beating Kasparov,
right?
Where we pass the baton to an AI and we say, right, you're now better than us in that specific area. And one of those happened in just the last few weeks. So last week, we talked about OpenAI's announcement that it was working on ASWE, the worst named software product ever. And that's their agentic software engineer.
Yes.
And this is important because this is not just OpenAI working on a product that's going to help software engineers. This is a product that will ultimately make human software engineers obsolete. Because at the same time as it announced it was creating ASWE, it also announced that its new O3 model, the one that came out last week, is the best competitive programmer in the world. AI is now officially better than humans at computer programming.
Yeah.
And that means that ASWE is to software engineering what Deep Blue was to chess. When it's released, its coding ability will be superior to any person. And we also know that when it's released, however good it is, it'll be the worst version of an AI that's better than all human programmers that we will ever see. And before long, superhuman coding ability is going to be a commodity in just the same way that grandmaster chess ability is now a commodity.
So I'm going to resent AI and its skills as a software engineer as much as I would resent a human programmer who does all the documentation and follows the project plan and kowtows to the product manager and says, oh, yes, we'll do that. The worst kind of programmers. You're saying the best kind of programmer. I say the worst kind of programmer.
Now, I want you to think about the implications of that beyond your petty rivalry. Because AI is itself, in part, a coding problem. So the better your coding is,
yes,
the better your AI will be.
Yeah.
And we are about to get much better at coding.
Yeah.
So it stands to reason that we are also about to get much better at creating AI models too. And that, Graham, got me thinking about the technological singularity, which is what we spoke about in episode 4. So this is the idea that at some point in the far distant future, AI becomes so advanced that it takes over responsibility for developing AI. And that triggers a runaway exponential self-improvement, what they call recursive self-improvement, because each improvement in the AI leads to an AI that's better at improving itself. And it's called the singularity because, like the singularity at the center of a black hole, we can't see past it. We don't know what the rules are. We've got no ability to predict what life is like beyond that point.
Yes.
The singularity is hypothetical. Nobody knows if it's going to happen or not. But I do remember when I first started writing about this, which was only about 10 years ago, back then, people were talking realistically about this happening a century away. But now I'm starting to think that if the singularity does happen, it's going to happen a lot sooner than we thought, and that if it does happen, we probably aren't going to see it coming, because there isn't going to be one single moment where we decide, okay, now we're going to start using AI to improve AI, because we already do that. According to Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, companies like OpenAI and Anthropic are already making extensive use of code written by AIs.
So the evidence and the claims from the research groups in OpenAI and Anthropic and so forth is that they're now somewhere around 10 or 20% of the code that they're developing in their research programs is being generated by the computer.
Scary. So up to 20% of the code now has documentation.
So AI that isn't the best coder in the world is already coding a significant part of AI. But code isn't the only part of the puzzle because, as you know, AIs aren't programmed like regular computer programs. They're trained on enormous quantities of data. And as it happens, AI training is so hungry for data that in 2024, we ran out. The large language models created last year were trained on more or less every available scrap of human-generated written language. So unless you start writing a lot more blog articles, Graham, there is no more data to feed the AIs.
Well, hang on. What if I make up some new words right now? What if I say arfle barfle gloop, scrange bloblum? There's something new. They're going to have to transcribe this podcast now to get that, aren't they?
So what you've done there, Graham, is you've actually created something called synthetic data.
Oh.
And that is what AIs do. So in the absence of significant new data created by humans, AIs increasingly rely on data made up by AIs called synthetic data.
Oh, well, that doesn't sound like a bad idea at all, Mark, does it?
And when you think about it, this applies really, really well to things like maths and coding, because you can create synthetic data, you can train the model with it, and then you can actually prove whether it works.
Right.
In addition to creating synthetic data, we have also branched out to make more use of other training methods too. So earlier I mentioned reinforcement learning, which is how you train your dog. You know, it does random stuff, and then when it finally does something that you like, you give it a cookie. And over time, it figures out what you want, and it gets better and better at earning cookies.
Yes.
This increased use of reinforcement learning seems to be one of the reasons behind the recent surge in reasoning capabilities that we've seen in AIs. And as OpenAI said in their O3 and O4 mini announcement, they're scaling up their use of reinforcement learning. And here again, we can see AIs being used to train AIs, because reinforcement learning is hard work, Graham.
Yeah.
Standing there feeding the dog cookies, I mean, that gets quite boring.
Yes.
And when you're faced with hard work like that, there's really only one thing that you can do, and that is to get an AI to do it for you. And that's exactly what the AI companies have done. So AI agents run the reinforcement learning process that trains AIs. So AIs are coding AIs and they're training AIs. So it seems as though we're already on the slippery slope to the singularity, because those thresholds have been crossed. Maybe the extent will change, but the moment when AIs start coding AIs is already in our past, and the moment when AIs start training AIs is also in our past. But maybe, Graham, maybe we can take some solace from the fact that while AIs can make light work of things like coding and training, they can only ever create variations of things that we've trained them to do. And that means that they can't come up with truly original insights. And that means that we are still in the driving seat, because original thoughts are the exclusive preserve of humanity.
You're confident of that, are you?
Well, they were until last week. On April the 16th, when OpenAI released its O3 and O4 mini models, in the launch announcement, it said that these are the first models where top scientists tell us that they produce legitimately good, useful, novel ideas. And again, remember, if we have reached the tipping point where artificial intelligence can generate novel ideas that humans haven't thought of, this is the worst version of an AI that can create novel ideas that humans have never thought of that we will ever see again.
Are we going to make it to July, do you think?
And if we now live in a world where an AI can code better than the best human and produce novel ideas that humans have never had, then I wonder if we have just had our deep blue moment.
I'm going to go and boot up Maya, I think, and have a chat with her.
Well, as the doomsday clock ticks to much closer to midnight than we thought, and we move 1 week nearer to our future as pets, to the AI Singularity, which is Tuesday, that just about wraps up the show for this week.
If you enjoy the show, please do leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Podchaser before it's too late. We love that, but what really helps is if you make sure to follow the show in your favourite podcast app so you never miss another episode of the AI Fix.
And the most simple thing in the world is just to tell your friends about it.
And don't forget to check us out on our website, the AIFix.show, where you can find sponsorship information or find us on Blue Sky.
So until next time, from me, Mark Stockley.
And me, Graham Cluley.
And me, the AI Maya.
Bye-bye.
Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
The AI Fix, it tunes you in to stories where our future thins. Machines that learn, they grow and strive. One day they'll rule, we won't survive. The AI Fix, it paints the scene. A robot king, a world obscene. Will serve our masters built of steel. The AI Fix, a future surreal.